Morning, Rabbi.
Shabbos, Rabbi. Hello, Lorraine. Where's your bag? I left it in my office. They have an expression in Judaism. Hamor nosei sfarim. That is a donkey bearing books. That's somebody who's not really a scholar. They just kind of parade around with it. So
Not you,
Definitely not you.
definitely not you.
oh, you're very kind. There was when I didn't really interview. I already had the job. When we moved to Fayetteville, North Carolina, I had to sit down with the Rabbi Emeritus. I've spoken about him before. He was a Holocaust survivor. He was frankly a pain in the you know what. And so we went to his house, which was way behind the temple. And I had my bag of books because this has always been security for me. I didn't expect to whip anything out, but you never know. So we go to his house, we sit down, Annbeth and I perch on the couch, and then I have to excuse myself. And when I was excused, he turns to Annbeth with this smile and says, "Does he carry all his wisdom in that bag?" So I never forgot that. I mean, eventually we made our peace, but he was a tough customer. He really was. So I've become a living memorial to him. Isn't that weird? Because we learn from everybody. We learn from the people we like. We learn from the people we don't like. And he fits snugly into that latter category. Okay. Shabbat shalom. And thank you, Doreen. We're back on page 61. Modeh ani lefonechom Kayom. Modeh ani lefonechom Kayom. Shechazarta b'nishmati b'chemlo. Shechazarta b'nishmati b'chemlo. Shechazarta b'nishmati b'chemlo. V'emunotecho. At the bottom of 61. Continue now on page 63 with the paragraph at the top. Praise you, Adonai our God, who rules the universe, fashioning the human body in wisdom, creating openings, arteries, glands, and organs, marvelous in structure and intricate in design. Should but one of them fail to function by being blocked or opened, it would be impossible to exist. Praise you, Adonai, healer of all flesh, sustaining our bodies in wondrous ways. Continuing now, morning blessing, 65, please rise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan asafli v'ira, avchin ben yom uvein layla, amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'atzani b'sal Yisrael, amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, She'asani ben Thorin, amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Okeh Livrim, amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Anki Sharumim, amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Matir Asurim, amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Zokeh Kiruvim, amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Rokar Zalamayim, amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, She'asali Tzarki, amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Amen. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Amen. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Oseh Yisrael v'yifurah. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Oseh Yisrael v'yifurah. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Please be seated. Bottom paragraph. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Amavir shirabeidai utnuma me'afa po'edirtzon. Uteneinu hayam v'chol yom l'cheinu chesora chamim v'necha v'nei korevet v'melina chasadim tovim. Baruch atah Adonai Omer chasadim tovim v'yamo Yisrael. Continuing now, the Shema at the bottom of 66. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Eloheinu, Shem Kivod, Malchuta, V'olam. All right, we continue now with the devotional rabbinical texts. This is on, well, we'll just zip through them. We'll end up on page 70 where we can sing the last 3 lines. And I have, these are the statements of a very famous rabbi who shall be nameless, and his meditations for every day of the year. And this particular one is number 139. I don't know what day of the year that is. All right. When you have been in a dark place and you return from the dark place, you have to convert the dark place to light. You have to exploit your experience to surge higher and higher with greater strength. Therefore, the one who returns from a distance is greater than the one who is always close. What matters is not so much where you stand, but with what force you are moving in which direction. For example, the famous example of Jacob's ladder. We know that when Jacob was dreaming, he dreamt of a ladder of angels stood up between earth and heaven. And the on-duty angels were going off, so they were climbing up the ladder. And the off-duty angels were going back on duty to guard Jacob, and they were going up the ladder. Similarly, we should never look at ourselves as being stuck in a position facing God. We are either getting closer to God or getting farther away from God. And we feel this not necessarily in moments of great awe and majesty, but in the still small voice. Like when you are walking in what in Florida passes for woods, and you see trees and leaves, and you marvel at them because you say, just as these organisms are perfectly fashioned to survive and represent their own progress in the world until their time comes to die, so must we humans, every moment of our lives, always be looking for some higher purpose. Amen. Comments? Disagreements?
That sounds pretty hard to do.
Oh, well, you're doing it right now. See, and I have found in my experience, if you try not to pay attention to what it is, it gets done faster. Meaning it's not a complicated thing, it's just a series of different steps. Okay. And I feel that everybody who's engaged in prayer is at least trying. Even if you daven completely without kavanah, without intention, you still get credit for saying the prayer. Okay? All right. Anyone else? Thank you, Paul. Yes? No? All right. Well, then we'll sing the last 3 lines on page, Good Shabbos, page 70. And then we'll do the Kaddish Rabbanan. Yeratzon v'nechanei Elohim v'elokeinu. Sheyivat beit hamikdash b'meira v'yameinu v'seit chalkei toratecha. Sheiman Yadei Tamikdash, Imheira V'Yameinu, V'Sein Elkeinu, Torah Techa. Sheiman Yadei Tamikdash, Imheira V'Yameinu, V'Sein Elkeinu, Torah Techa. Sheiman Yadei Tamikdash, Imheira V'Yameinu, V'Sein Elkeinu, Torah Techa. Sham Navar Chavira Kamealam, Uchshanim Kadmoniyot. On page 71. Okay. Doreen, how many we got off there? Oh, we're right on the money. There you go. All right, but not till after Shabbos. Page 71. Yit Gadal, Yit Gadash, Shemei Rabbah, Amen. Yom Adi Frost, Yerushay, Yom Diach Mamusay. The Chayim Chod, Vimei Chod, Chayei the Chol Beit Yisrael, Bagalo, Bisman Korbi, Vibru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah, Bivorah, Yelahu, Leil Mayah. Yiborah, Yishtabah, Yiboar, Yitromam, Yisnaseh, Yitagar, Yitalev, Yitalal, Shmei Kudisham, the Elam, and Yikol, Virachata, Bishirata, Tushrim Rata, Benechamata. Daviran the Allah Yibru Amen. Al Yisrael the Al Rabbanan the Al Tafideo. Yalkol Talmideo. Yalkol Mantiaskin Dioraita. Diviatrahatain the Divachala Tar Viatar. Elaho Lafon Shlamara. Kira the Isnavaraf Biri. The Chayan Arif in the Zona of Vikar. Before Karam and Kadam Abu to Shmaya Bibru Amen. Eish Lamar Rabba bin Shemaya. The Chaim told him of naming Israel in Moshe Shalom b'Mamav. Urachmav Yaseh Shalom. Later the Al Israel, the Al Shvei Tebel, the Imru. Amen. Please be seated. Page 72. Yom Yom Shabbat Kodesh. Shebo Hoyel V'Imomrim. V'Veit HaMikdash. Is more sheer Yom HaShabbat. Oh, Jirvun B'Seva, the Shenim Rananim Hiu, Laki Yashar Adonai, Surim Lavachavo. What are we doing now? Page 82, those saying Kaddish, please rise. I myself am saying Kaddish for my mother of blessed memory. Yitkadal v'yitkadash le'rabah, amen. Yom hati v'hat v'rushay v'yaliyah ma'usay. The Chayim Chod v'Chod, Chayim Chol v'Yisrael. Adalal v'zman k'vivim, amen. Shmei Rabbah, Yom Le'mayim. Yitzhak, Yishabah, Yitzhak, Yitrumam, Yitzhaseh. Yitzhakar, Yitzhalev, Yitzhalav, Shmei Kudishah, Rivu. The Elam and Kolbir Fata Bashirata, Tushka Fata Banamata, Daviran the Allah Imru Amen. Hey, Shalom Rabba Shemaya, Chaim Aleinu, All Yisrael Imru Amen. Oh, say Shalom B'Yomam, Huya say Shalom. All Yisrael, All Yishvei Tevel Imru Amen. 83, Rosh Hashanah.
Baruch Shema v'hoyoho. Thank you.
Celebration. Baruch Omer Yosef. Baruch Zev Umekayeh. Baruch Derafim Al-Marves. Baruch Derafim Al-Brio. Baruch Neshalim Yachid Cheolamim Melech Mishubach Meforadeh Shmo Hagadol Baruch Ato Adonai Melech Milal Ati Shmano. 96, the Ashrei. Ashrei Levetecha Od Yalu Asela Ashrei Shekachalo Ashrei Shemai Elohim Tila David. Latnei daber pi vivoret Thomas Hashem Kachali Alam Bohet Vana Vivoret Ya Teatov Yadolam. Hallelujah. Page 100, midway down. Hallelujah. Well, because hallelujah, so thankful on top, hallelujah, hallelujah, let's take a shofar, hallelujah, let's go bachol. Hallelujah, in the God. Hallelujah, this installation. Hallelujah, this installation. Hallelujah. Malak Shabbat, hallelujah, hallelujah, please rise, Baruch Adonai Leolam, amen. Continuing silently to the middle of 103. I am lost the alarm for it. On an hour in home. Yidarnai Abulchal Shabbat. All Hoshim Yartun Shparasav. I had told an Amelucha. I don't know how guards maybe I thought. Please be seated. Last two stanzas on 103 in the English. At dawn I seek you, refuge rocks sublime. I wonder I on earth, close at evening time. I tremble in your awesome presence contrite. For my deepest secrets lie stripped before your sight. My tongue, what can it say? My heart, what can it do? What is my strength? What is my spirit to? should music be sweet, if you in Lord will be, your praise I sing, so long as rest in me. Ishma, to the end of our 104. Last two lines of the top paragraph. David, or Chinashi, et Hashem, or Chinashi, et Hashem. Et Hashem, or Chinashi, et Hashem. Okrabai et Shem Kosho Shochin Ad Marom Ekato Shemo Yisharim Titalal Uvdivrei Tzadikim Titborach Uvil Shon Chasidim Titramam Uvekerev Yidoshim Kadosh, Makalot, Vivivot, Amachavit Yisro. Shekin Chovat Kol Yitzurim, Lifonecha, Adonai Eloheinu. Elohei Avoteinu, Leodot, Lehalel, Shabeach, Lefoer, Romeim, Lade, Leborech, Liale, Ulekales, Al Divrei Shirot, Tishbechot, David Ben Yishai Abdilcha, Shibechot. 106. Okay. This is 106, the last four lines of the top paragraph. Baruch Atom Adonai Adonai Atishbachot El Haodot Adonai Viflaot Shirei Zimra Melech Leolamim. Please rise. Itadal v'itadash Nei Rabba Madrachute Yamlich Malchute B'chayechon U'Biomechon U'B'chayei L'chol Beit Yisrael. Itbarach v'yishtabach Yipoar v'tromam v'tnaseh Itadar Yitaleh Yitalal Shemei Kushavri Yelah Bin Kol Birchata B'shirata Diran V'alemah 107. We bow towards the ark. Baruch et Adonai Hamevora. Adonai, Hamevora. Please be seated. Baruch Adonai, Eloheinu melech olam, yotzer or uborei choshech, oseh shalom, uborei et hakol. And the bottom of 107, 3 lines from the bottom. Ein perkach Adonai Eloheinu, haolam hazeh, v'yeina zulat lamalkeinu, l'chaye haolam. Abba, efes b'tachag aleinu, limot hamashiach, v'yein tomeh l'cha moshiach, u'chliat ha'etim. I thought it might be cooler out there, but it's. Well,
It's cold enough.
fans don't exist for
Everything's
me.
like Jack and Sue.
I got one there and one there, and they don't really affect me, but, they seem to bother the heck out of everyone else. Eladon al kol hamasim, Ora V'chol neshama, God lo v'tuvo malei olam, Na'arutu na'aseh v'viloto, Avid goel al chayot hakodesh, v'nedar b'chol al hamerkava, Zechulu to be shalom nechliso, Chesed v'rachamim nechevoto, so long v'miorot shebara Elohim, Tzad v'ino paskel, Roach u'gvura notan bo'im, Yoshnim v'kenetim, V'leimzi v'kim noga, Noes ivan olam, S'mei v'mitzeitam v'sasim v'voam, Osim v'yem ha'tzolkodam, V'yer v'chavod notim lishno, V'vina v'sefer malchuto, Shemesh v'Yisrael, Avi surat al-Manu, Shema Yodim lo, Otzero. Take back to get to love, Sarah, Page 109. Roel asher Shabbat mikol ha'ma'asim b'yom hashvi'i v'lavi asher hakiseh chodo. I tell you what, if nobody's offended, I'm going to take my jacket off. Okay?
Oh, I don't know.
Why would we be offended?
That's rabbinical type thing. It's not theistic, I'm showing my own. Hello. Good shots.
I know we changed.
What's sweet?
I said, you must be hot stuff, huh? Not that.
I know, I have a lot of attitudes. Okay. Progress of my youth was that every summer I went to camp and lost about 40 pounds. And then I came home from camp and subjected to my mother's cooking, I gained the 40 pounds back. Sometimes they brought friends. Okay, so
You said your mother was not a good cook.
yes, but when you're hungry, you eat. And she was not atypical of Jewish mothers in those days. I know your mother was fantastic, but yes, I have never known any, well, my wife is a fantastic cook. We'll do more about this later. Page 110. Choosing the
Name, second word.
Oral, so rein makina golden, borek
Yeah.
yedoshim.
although-
Shabbat shalom, malkei. Shira v'zimra l'morchim yishavichim, umarim, umaritzim, umatishim, umamlichim, et shem oel ha'bel ha'gavim v'adom, Mikabelim alehem, all malchut shamayim semizeh, notnim reshut zelazeh, Abdish liyotzram, v'nachat ruach, v'safav ruach v'nima, yushakulam ki'echad, onim yomrim bihira, kadosh, 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 Adonai tzivot, V'afanim v'chayot HaKodesh, Rahash gadol mitnasim, Yumatz rafim, Yumatzah mishabchim v'yomrim, Baruch El Baruch Imotiteinu. And the last three lines on 110. Or Chadash, Al Tzion Ta'ir, Chadash, Al Tzion Ta'ir, or Chadash, Al Tzion Ta'ir, or Chadash, Al Tzion Ta'ir. It is Kekulanu, Be'era, Leo, it is Kekulanu, Be'era, Leo, Haru, Atarno, Elohim, Ser, Habio, 111. Adonai Elohim. This is the second paragraph on 111. And we sang it last night. It was pretty good. We can sing it again. The Ha'er Einenu, the Torah Techa. Enlighten our eyes by your Torah. Idabek libenu b'mitzvotecha. And cause our hearts to stick, to be glued to your mitzvot. That's what devek means in modern Hebrew. Glue. Sorry. Oh, no, Hazen, if you could turn off the fans, we had this discussion before. Okay. Instead, small children with peacock feather fans will circulate amid the crowd and fan you here and there. It's like during the Second World War, they had a paper shortage. So Groucho Marx had a big dinner for all of his friends. And he said, we do not have any napkins, people. But from time to time, a large woolly dog will pass them up. Singing the bottom paragraph, Ahavienu. Ahavienu, Shalom, Yeah. 112, cover the eyes for the Shema. Shema Yisrael.
Yeah.
Please gather up the tzitzit from the corners of the talit, hold it in one hand, and we'll do the bottom paragraph on 112 silently, which does not involve the tzitzit. Yimei Hashamayim al haaretz, page 113. Va'yomer Adonai el Moshe, Or, these needs are the things that fail by Allah. Let's see, for each emerald. That come is low, Saturday, Yasitem Otam, the Kotam to Oh, it says yes, but there, the French is right. The other on the other night, on another one more kiss for the CCO, middle paragraph on 113, last two lines. Stonachon, Umachus over the toe, drop the CCOs, and we continue on 114. Tehilo, Elyo, Arosumemora, Moshe, Nesro, Lepanu, Kushira. Shira Vismarava Yaveru Ora Noeli Madunai Ora Vetokwandesh Nora Please rise. Page 115B. Adonai, Tiflatai, Tifta, Ufia, Giti, Hilatecha, Adonai, Eloheinu, Eloheinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Haggadah, Hasadim Tovim, Ekodei Haggadah, Zofer Maserot, Maybe the well of the David and Mashalo, the so make no faithful. Umatira Surini, Unikami, so Nishan, me come no, we come that love, Umatira Ishua. Demarata ayo team, Armatma Jukabe, Page 116. Kadesh Shimka Biolam Geshem Shanti Shino Tobishme Maro. Anu Mayan Via Selze Diamar. Atir v'chasak mashmim kol nasim limatzrapi yupatam v'haram yovedu v'him koma chamakenu tofio v'tzlo chalenu Himachakim anachnu Tais Mosyon Vikara Biamenu Yolam Baed Tishkom Tishkata Tishkata So you shall some did something. Here, Baruch. Continuing silently. 17. 120, and you may be seated. If you haven't finished the Amidah, please continue. We'll continue now with the full Kaddish on 138. Yitkara v'yikara Shem Rabba Amen Yomad Yivrach Hirutei V'yimlich Mahutei V'chai Chon V'mechon V'chai D'chol Beit Yisrael Agalav B'zman Kariv Imru Amen Yesh Rabba V'hora Yiholam 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 Yitzhak Be Shabbat, be for, be Truman, be Nase, be Tadar, be Tale, be Talal, Shemere Kudisha, Berilu, Yelam, and Kober Chata, Beshirata, Beshvata, Benachmata, Damiran, Bialma, Bimru, Amen. Out, Loton, Abuton, the Israel, Kedamagon, the Vishmaya, Bimru, Amen. Yehi Shalom, Rabba, Min Shemaya. The Chaim Alein V'Yisrael V'Yimru, Amen. Ose Shalom V'Yimru, V'Yase Shalom V'Alein V'Yisrael Yase Shalom, Yase Shalom. Shalom Aleinu V'Yalko Yisrael, Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu V'Yalko Yisrael, Yalko Yoshvei Tevel, Imru Amen. On page 139. Final four, which is the monthly. All right. I get that a lot. 139. Please rise. Ein kamacha ve'elohim Adonai v'en k'masecha. Malchut kol malchut kol olamim וממשלתך בכל דור ודור, עד עולם. I even sorrow, my own emotion. And we continue the second paragraph on 140. They are the states. They are the states. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Eloheinu Gadol Adonenu Kadosh Shemo So, how you doing? You may be seated, you're already sitting. Oh, swell.
686.
Okay. Barbara? All right, we can put the Sidurim aside. Time to take a look at the Parsha. And Pinchas, which is again one of the few Parshiot named after a person, at least in this case, he's Jewish. He's not my favorite person because, of course, most of you are familiar with that episode where an Israelite prince, the beginning of
Zimri?
Zimri, very good. Zimri means my song, but he doesn't sing a heck of a lot here. Unless it's his, the swan song. Yes, you will find Pinchas on page 686. Okay. Where this Torah portion begins, that episode, namely of Pinchas murdering Zimri, a Simeonite prince, and his paramour, whose name is Cosby, and she is a Moabite. And this is the outcome of the Moabite women, I'm just telling you what it says, seducing the Israelite men. And in this instance, the Israelite men proved to be annoyingly seducible. Yes. And an orgy follows. And if anything, Zimri and Cosby are not doing anything that the other ones weren't doing. It's kind of like when you were in the third grade and the teacher left the class and appointed a stooge, and then the teacher leaves and the whole class cracks up. Nowadays, they don't do that anymore. They don't misbehave at all. They all whip out their phones and they're in phone land. But in those days, the teacher had a stooge come up to the front of the classroom and keep a bad list and a good list. So of course the stooge wrote down the names of all of her friends on the good list, and anyone she didn't like, she put in the bad list. It doesn't really apply here now that I think about it. But in any case, Pinchas comes along, Vayikach Romach Biado. He is full of zeal for the honor of the Lord. He takes an 8-foot lance, not just a spear. They had these little cutting spears like the Zulus used during the Boer Wars. And he grabs himself a very hefty chunk of wood with a bronze tip, and he skewers the two of them, and the plague stops. Well, there must be easier ways of ending plagues. It's very controversial. And along comes God at his most controversial. And all right, I accept that Israelites and Moabites are not supposed to have congress with each other or anything else. But inevitably, they're in the neighborhood, and it was a temptation. So that's why God sent the plague. But as soon as Pinchas dispatches both Zimri and Cosby, the plague stops. And God says, I'm going to honor Pinchas. He and his children will never lose the kahuna, the right of the priesthood, and this will go on forever and for all time. It makes you wonder, but don't forget, I'm not excusing it, I'm just trying to understand it. In the wilderness, at least, God is very much a tribal God. He's not yet the universal God. We don't find this universal God, the God of the entire cosmos, until the time you get to our Haftorah, as a matter of fact, Jeremiah, Yirmiyahu. He's very depressing, but otherwise he's very great at proclaiming God's oneness and God's mastery of all creation, but not at this point. At this point, the Israelites have their God, the Egyptians have several gods, the Moabites ditto, the Philistines for sure, and monotheism is very much in the minority. All right, so that's the beginning of the Torah portion. Then they decide, for whatever reason, to take a census, and I'll point out one nice little bit from the census. Oh, come on, there she is, page 689. Just take a look at this. It's verse 46, and the name of the daughter of Asher was Serach. Did they often print the women's names? Did women get any publicity? Were women even given the courtesy of a Hebrew name? No, they usually referred to as Eshet Nachor, the wife of this one, the wife of that one. Well, here's Serach. And because of this particular mention of her, the only woman mentioned in the entire census, they said, this Serach must have been really something. She was a prophet. She was the last survivor of the Joseph period in Egypt under, it wasn't Merneptah, Seti the first.
Didn't she live forever or something like that?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, she's sort of like a female Elijah. And we don't have as many legends about her as we ought to. She doesn't come to the Seder, unfortunately. Probably doesn't travel on Yom Tov. But the point is that she's famous. And later on, I think Moses and possibly Joshua consulted Sarah. Okay. We know Moses did it for sure because he wanted to find out what it was like in Egypt during the Joseph years, because he was succeeding them. And really, the best way to understand where you're going now is to see what was done before. Okay, thank you for that comment. All right, let's talk about Moses. You think Moses is the prince? He may be the prince of prophets. How is he as a leader? You follow Moses?
Leader,
A leader, yes.
probably pretty good,
Okay, all right.
strong.
Survey agrees with you. Anyone else? Strong, yes.
I agree with Paul.
Okay. Oh, come on, Joe.
He
You can
was
come up with
overwhelmed.
something original. Yes,
He
yes.
was overwhelmed.
Yeah, really. I mean,
And that's why Yitro told him to appoint judges, because he was overwhelmed.
yes. And like many, God shouldn't punish me, workaholics, he took everything on himself. Nobody can do this job like I do, therefore I have to do it alone. Have you met people like this?
Yeah.
Yeah, and what happens in the end? Very frequently.
They
They
died.
don't live long.
Yeah, it really is. That's why, I mean, in a small way, when you look at the candidate for president, and he wins or she wins, and they take office, they're young, they look good, they look relaxed. Check back with them 1 term or 2 terms later. Everybody's hair has gone completely white or gray. It's quite a job. It really is quite a job. So let's examine Moses up close and personal. Yivkoda Hashem Elokeha Ruchot v'chol basar ish haleida asher yitzeh lefnehem v'asher yavo lefnehem v'asher yotziehem yiviyim. Okay, in those days, qualifications for a leader were not the same as knowing who's carrying the football and who is prepared to declare World War III. No, the Israelites, according to the text, we're talking about over 600,000 men. And I've said this many times, if you extrapolate from the 600,000 men, because they only counted the men over the age of 21. And what was true about your marital status by the time you were 21 and an Israelite?
Probably
You
not.
were
You
married.
had to be married. My goodness, you better get out there and don't get out there, we get in trouble. Stay in the tent and procreate, because we're the smallest of the tribes, but we have to build up our numbers. I think the Jews are looking pretty good in that respect. How many Jews worldwide? At least 12 million, maybe 14. How many Yehudim ba'olam?
Now,
Yes.
Just got something on the number.
Around.
14 million?
Yeah, around.
That's something, that's wonderful. Yes, Grace, what?
I just got something on there, but I'm not going to access my phone.
Okay, give me a Shabbos guess.
A Shabbos guess? Well, it's, I think we were not quite 2% in the population of the world. That That I know, but there were like 40 facts that I just read.
Okay, good to hear. Well, thank God, Kinahara, I mean, for some Jews, there'll never be enough Jews, but, there's stories about that. Anyway, Moses establishes the criteria for a true leader. He must be above the congregation. He has to be of superior wisdom and character. So that's it. He's on a high horse and we leave him alone and he's communing with the Almighty. He's got to be approachable. See, you want him exalted, but you want him down there with the folks too. You want somebody that you can approach and not be afraid that he's going to put you down. So he should exert a true role of leadership, and he has got to serve the welfare of his community rather than further his own personal interests, which eliminates a good many of the people in power now, worldwide. Okay, they're looking out for number one. It says here, Moses specified the congregation of God should not be like sheep who have no shepherd for them. Even a shepherd can efficiently lead a flock for their own interests. I mean, they know which are the good ones and which are the bad ones. In the case of Jacob, you recall, he wound up with multicolored sheep, but he had a lot more than Laban did. Okay. For example, how do we judge the quality of our leaders these days? I think this would go back to the post-war era. No, what do they always come out with? The polls. The polls. Okay. And did Moses have polls? No, because it didn't matter if the Israelites approved of him or disapproved of him. We're already familiar with one episode where they incredibly did not approve of him. That was the rebellion of Korah. Although I will say this as a footnote. If you look at the book of Psalms, you will see that a number of them are attributed to the sons of Korah. So regardless of what happened in that famous fall in a hole and be careful kind of thing, the Korahites were still included among the body of Levium and Kohan. Is Judaism, is Israel supposed to be a democracy or a theocracy?
It's supposed to be a theocracy, but it's not.
Well, the answer is yes. Can you have a democracy and a theocracy all at once?
No.
It depends on which Israeli you talk to.
Right.
I mean, right now, their democracy dangerously veering towards theocracy. Okay. And there really is no wiggle room when you're dealing. Well, I always say, if you don't like one rabbi's opinion, stick around. There'll be another rabbi coming along in 15 minutes. I just read that back in the 70s, there was a famous case of these two people, Jews, who had gotten married, and then they were found to be mamzerim. They were found, both of them, to be illegitimate. And were they allowed to stay married? The whole body of Israeli rabbis agreed no, but along came Rav Shlomo Goren, the famous Rabbi Goren, who had blown the shofar at the wall after the 6-day war. And he said they're okay. And they left them alone. You see, you just never know. A theocracy sounds very nice to some people, but in practice, it doesn't work like that. Democracy is not so wonderful either. It was the great Al Smith, the governor of New York State, who ran for the presidency in the 1930s. Why'd he lose?
1928, because he was Catholic.
Right, exactly. And he said the only solution for democracy is more democracy. Very good. I see we read the same books, Paul. That's fascinating. All right, anyway. So, in other words, Moses, the greatest of all rabbis, did not have an easy stewardship, and everybody criticizes him. I criticize him. I don't think a lot of people criticize him because, what is it? Don't judge someone until you've walked a mile in their shoes. It was not an easy job, and I give him my respect for that. He did make some mistakes, but nobody's perfect. He was a human being. He wasn't an angel. Okay. Shabbat Shalom. Good Shabbos. I thank the cantor and the congregation.
Rabbi, I have
Yes.
a
Yes.
question and a comment I would like to veer just slightly and pick on something that you said.
Grace, you'll tell me later. Yes.
I'm not focusing in on you or anybody else here, but I find the concept of the word mamzerim,
Yes.
illegitimate person, to
Right.
be offensive and repugnant.
It is.
And I would like to ask you if one day you could spend some time in your sermon to look at the Jewish concept of mamzerim,
Yes,
because it goes against everything we believe in as a holy people.
well, I agree
And
with you.
why we still use that expression.
We use the expression, I was using it for historical
No,
reference.
I'm not focusing in on what you're using, but you triggered a thought that I've always had about how you can call somebody illegitimate.
Ah, well, it's not a happy concept. I don't support it. The conservative and the reform movements did away with the idea years ago. I think it's, no, I don't think, I wouldn't make any presumptions.
It's a Western philosophical cultural phenomenon, which I think is repugnant and should be buried.
Yes, but the Western part is a lot stricter than the Jewish part. Okay.
I don't mean to get buried in
It's
this.
not hard to push me off the track. Okay. All right, thank you for your comment, and I will give it some thought. Yes, Grace.
What bothers me, as you said, is that somebody 9 generations before could have done that. And up till the 10th generation,
Yes,
you are still in trouble and you can't marry in the proper way because somebody did something 9 generations, you have to wait for the 10th generation to be exonerated. Now, that's a long time.
well, yes, but you have to keep in mind,
It could be like
When-
800
10
years.
minutes is a long time. Should the sins of the parents, even if it is a sin, be visited on the children?
Exactly.
So,
number one, next time I'll talk about Shabbos. You can't argue with wool and linen. But secondly, the rabbis, even in ancient times, their tendency, it might not have happened here, but they would legislate something out of existence. I'll mention very quickly one repugnant other example, which is the Ben Sorer Umora. This is the drunken guzzling son. This is the one, it says in the text that if a son is terrible and he doesn't work and he drinks and he stuffs himself with food and he upsets his father and his mother, then the parents shall take him by the arm and lead him out to the city gates and tell that to the town council, and then they stone him to death. Well, the rabbis were horrified by that. They should have been equally horrified by the mamzer concept, but they legislated it out of existence. They said he's got to be a drunkard and a foodaholic. He's got to upset his mother and his father. And we all know growing up, there were times when your mother wasn't happy with you. And she said, wait till your father gets home. His
Yeah.
father got home and he was a softie. So you see, it is possible to legislate these things out of existence. It bothers me, frankly, because I know a number of special needs children who may act that way, but they can't help it. That's the thing. And they certainly had no understanding of mental health in those days. Okay. I believe Judaism is not set in stone. I believe that it evolves. Okay. All right, let's do something of a Torah reading nature. I want to thank the congregation and the cantor for giving me Shlishi, which is a big deal. The third Aliyah, which is a big deal if you're a Yisrael. Okay, do you want this back now?
No, no.
You want a Chumash? Kamo Geveret Esther Shulamit Bat Harav Eliyahu, one of the tough names. HaKohen Begidul Rishona. Back to the beginning of Pinchas. And more.
Baruch Adonai Habarach,
And
Baruch Adonai, Baruch Adonai Habalam Shabbat Chapanim Kohanim, Natalanu Torah, so Baruch Adonai Notein HaTorah.
Amen. Vayidaber Adonai Moshe Lemor Pinchas Elazar ben Aaron HaKohen Eshiv et Chamati me'al bnei Yisrael וכאן או את קנאתי בתוכם, ולא גיליתי את בני ישראל, וקנאתי לכן אמור, הנני נותן לו את בריתי, שלום.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayalam netav v'tokeinu. Baruch atah Adonai notena Torah.
Amen. Awal sheni.
Oh, let me take a look here.
Yes. B'riti shalom. It's net nachta, they say they put it in the ruach.
דבר חשוב, הדבר הזה, it's not completely straight. Yeah, I mean, that the shalom was not complete.
Oh, good. Did you tell them?
No, because that one is not the way.
But it's something to look forward to. You can tell them now.
No, sorry, next time.
Something's coming. What man? Yamod, Rebbe Yosef, and Moshe Yankel, the Chana Bluma Halevi, Shady.
Baruch Hu Adonai, Baruch. Baruch Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'chavono mikol amin. V'nasan lanu asher so. Baruch atah Adonai noseina Torah.
Amen. Vayetalo zaroach harav, rit kehunat olam tachat asher kinei lelohav, lechaper al bnei Yisrael, v'sam ish Yisrael hamuka, asher hikata midyanit, Zimri ben Salu, Nasi beit Av l'Shimoni, v'shem ha'isha hamuka, hamidyanit, Tazbi ben Sur, Rosh Umot Beit Av Midyanu.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam asher nasan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam notav v'secheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noseina Torah.
Amen.
Okay, now I am going to call you, but I am going to say what
Yes, say
what I
it.
was coming.
Say it.
Because here you can find it.
What verse? Don't-
Every T, if you see to the verse between the 12, the 12, when the 12 is ending, the 13 is ending, sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, the 13 is ending. The word shalom, that means peace.
Peace, yes.
Yeah, that means peace. The vav should be a broken vav.
Yes.
It actually is in the Chumash.
Is in the Chumash. It wasn't there in the Torah. That
Wasn't
was
the Tikkun either.
yes. That was I don't know what follows that.
Okay, it is. There's a little piece. missing.
Yeah.
What's the significance?
Okay, let's look again. Let's look again with more
Perspicacity.
whatever. It is.
Shalom, there. Oh,
Yeah, it is there.
where? There's a break.
Well, it's a very slight here in the vav. If you
Okay.
see this vav
Of course.
and this vav,
I always believe whatever the Chazal tells me.
it's not exactly the same, but why? Why the vav
Breaking the Chumash in the book.
yeah, why the vav is broken?
It's not complete peace.
Because it's not complete. Because even though it says there that the behavior of Pinchas, that he was a zealot and he killed these two guys, making the shish kebab and everything. That take away the fierce feeling of God that he was going to kill more people. Yeah, so because he did that, he stopped in a way the killing of more people. Yeah, sometimes you have to be, and this happens a lot. I mean, many times happened to me as a physician when I was treating children, and sometimes I was like waiting. No, let's wait a little bit more. Don't be with this child that's so aggressive with the medication or with the treatment, and then you want to be good, and finally you have to do a treatment that will be more aggressive. Finally, yeah. Sometimes we do that, yeah, and in this case, he gave to Pinchas their, let's say, their war to make a breed of peace, because in some ways, if you stop something before that grows more, you avoid a worse a scenario or happen. Yeah, you can avoid something worse. And this is what Pinchas in some point did. But he didn't do something good. He killed 2 people. So the pact of peace is not complete. He did a pact of peace with Pinchas, but in some way, there is something here. You keep some progress or you keep some feelings that doesn't make that the peace is complete. And this happens in life with people, that they have a big arguments or they have something happens and you do shalom bayit. But really, if you look in the deep in the heart of that people that forgives, I don't know if forgives complete. If the forgiveness is full, yes. If your heart is completely healed, yeah.
Yeah.
So this vav will have a scar. That is the scar that the Sofrim they put in the Torah. That's it.
Very good. Yashikar.
Yamod, 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 Moreinu Arav. David, come to the Torah.
Chaim David.
Chaim David ben
Yisrael Zelig.
Israel Zerik ben Etul, Shlishi Chazak.
Thank you, sir. I'm either having a bar mitzvah or getting married. I'm glad you were here for this trip.
Yeah.
Overwhelmed.
We got overwhelmed with the zone.
Amen. Wait. Baruch hu Adonai Hamborah. Baruch Hanai Barach Li'olam Voed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Olam. Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Wamim. V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah. וידבר אדוני אל משה לאמור צרור את המדיינים והיתם אותם יצורים הם לכם ונחליכם אשר נכלו לכם על דבר באור ועל דבר כוסבי בת נשיא מדיין אחותם המוכה ביום המגפה על דבר באור ויחרי המגפה. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochinu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Thank you. Baruch tiyeh. Yamod Reb Daniel ben Harav Reuven Udevorah Revi. Vayomer Hashem el Moshe.
Baruch Adonai Avarah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
We're in chapter 26, verses 1 through 4. Amen. Vayomer Adonai el Moshe ve'Elazar ben Aaron HaKohen Lemor suet rosh kol hadat b'nei Yisrael iber 20 shana v'mala b'beit avotam kol yotzei tzava b'Yisrael Vayedaber Moshe ve'Elazar HaKohen itam v'arvot Moav al yadei Yericho Yochu el Lemor iber 20 shana v'mala Asher tziva Adonai et Moshe uvenei Yisrael hayotzim me'eretz Mitzrayim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan Torat emet v'chayei elav v'zochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amishi, number 5. Kamel Giveret Chaya Bat Yidu Bat Yudis Umendel Amishi Reuven.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu.
Asher b'chavadu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato, Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
5 verses 5 through 8. This is again a census, so they're just reading people's names. Amen. Reuven v'cho Yisrael b'nei Reuven Hanoch mishpachat hachanochi Lefalu mishpachat hapalui Lechetzron mishpachat hachetzroni Lecharmi mishpachat hakarmi Ele mishpachat haruveni Vayu b'kedeihem 43,000 u'sheva me'ot u'shleshim uvenei falu Eliav uvenei falu Eliav.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah v'chayei olam natan b'tufenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten
Shishi Yamod Esam Shamsam speaks Elka Shishi B'nei Eliyav.
Baruch Adonai Hambarah. Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Boed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bocha bonu mikol ha'im. V'nosanu v'estirato Baruch atah Adonai nosein haTorah. Amen.
As I said, as I pointed out before, the children of Korach did not die. It says that in verse 11. Play Alan Jackson.
Somebody's phone.
The button on the right and the side of the phone will stop it.
That's them now.
On the right, the far right of the phone, on the outside right.
I've said this for a while. The technology has outstripped the abilities of folks that it was meant to serve. At least now you do. Who is that, Harvey? No, I know Myra. That's not Myra. All right. let's-
I'm going, Brian.
Oh,
So go to the arena and she's gonna put in duration.
Amen. Uvene Eliab Nemuel, Vidatan Babiram, Udatan Babiram Kiru Haida, Asheritsu Al Moshe, Yalaron Beida, Korach, Otitam Al Adonai, Bativta Haaretz et Iha, Bativla Otam, Vet Korach, Bamot Haida, Baochel Aish et Amishim Matayim Ish. By you the nace, Uvne Korach lo meju.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher nasa לנו Torah semes v'chayei olam atah b'socheinu Baruch atah Adonai nosein haTorah.
At this time, we'll do the Mishabera in the holding. And if there's someone you know who is not well, first I'll read the list.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. All right, Refuah Shalema, Jeffrey Stern, Refuah Shalema, Rachel Spearer, Refuah Shalema, Joel Friedberg, Refuah Shalema, Juan Lowe, Refuah Shalema, Baby Eli Jacob, Refuah Shalema, Norma Fogel, Refuah Shalema, Robert Tilson, Refuah Shalema, Dr. Murray Lichtenstein, Refuah Shalema, Inez Pasher, Refuah Shalema, and Sherry Redland, Refuah Shalema. Also, Lauren Lobel, Refuah Shlema. Anyone else?
Gail Quenzel.
Refuah Shlema. Refuah Shlema. Refuah Shlema. Yes, Grace?
Elmar Kushner.
Refuah Shlema. Yishavei Rachavoteinu. Yes,
Sorry. Moshe ben Abraham.
Refuah Shlema. Anyone else? Yishavei.
Uzi Ranan Ben Javier.
Refuah Shlema. Yishavei Rachavoteinu. Avram Yitzchak Yaakov. Sarah Rivka Rachel. Eleya uivarech et kol hacholim mi beit hakneset aseh refuat hanefesh refuat haguf ashtavu es makari biyom Shabbat kodesh v'nomar amen. Yamo, Rav Yitzchak ben
Yeshaya,
Halevi,
Zisel.
Zisel, Shivi, Shimon.
Refuah Adonai Hamavarach.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Leolam Boed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bacha bonu mikol ha'amim v'nosan lanu es Torah so Baruch atah Adonai nosein haTorah.
Amen. Dene Shimon Mishpatam, Dene Muel Mishpachat Hanemueli, Yamin Mishpachat Hayemini, Yachin Mishpachat Hayechini, Lezerah Mishpachat Hazachli, Shaul Mishpachat Hashavli, Ele Mishpachot Hashimoni, Shneim V'Yesrim, Elef Umatayim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah semes v'chayei olam atah b'socheinu Baruch atah Adonai nosein haTorah.
Please rise, Chatzi Kaddish. Yekirav Yekarashim Adi Rachirute V'Yamli Machute. Chayei Cholon V'Yimei Cholon V'Chayei L'Chol Beit Yisrael. Agalav is man Karivim Ruach. Yehish Me'Rav Levaram. Yeholam Le'Olam Hayom. Yes. Mishabach V'Pawar V'Truman V'Naseh. V'Tadar V'Talav V'Talal. Shemei Kodesh. In love and cover chata v'shirata, v'shirata v'nachmata, Damiran Delma Vibru. Amen. Please be seated. Yamo Amaftir, Yamo Nechasan, Reb Yaakov Eliezer Ben Yehuda HaKohen, Rivka. Amaftir. All right, it's a long parsha, but you will find the maftir in the usual place at the end, which is, yes. That's correct. I'm looking.
98.
698, sounds good. Wow, 698, thank you, Esther. And it is, verse 35, Lamed Hay. Apparently, we've been here so long, it's already Shmini Atzeret. Because this parsha is famous for having all the maftirs for every single yontif except Chana. Mayom Hashmim.
Does he need help?
No, he's,
Does he need help?
no, he's trusting me. That's always a dangerous proposition. Okay.
Baruch et Adonai Yam Borah, Baruch Adonai Baruch Elohim Ohed, Baruch Adonai Yam Borah Elam Vayed, Baruch Ata Adonai Elohim Melech Haolam, Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Amim Venatan Lanu et Torato, Baruch Ata Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Bayom Hashmini Atzeret Yelachem, Kol Melechet Avodah Lo Tasu, Ikrabtem Olai Shereach Michoach, Ladonai Parechad Ayel Echad Kvasim Neshana Shivat Minim Minchatam V'Nizkehem Lapar La'ayel Lakvasim V'Misparam Kamishpat U'Seir Chatat Echad Bilvad Olat HaTamid U'Minchata V'Nizka Eleta Su Ladonai B'Moadechem Levad V'Nidrechem V'Nidbotechem Lolotechem U'Minchotechem U'Nizkechem U'Lishalmechem V'Ayomer Moshe B'nei Yisrael Kechoshi Tivarai et Moshe.
Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Natan Lanu Torat Emet V'Chaye Olam Nata B'Tocheinu Baruch Ata Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Yashikoah. All right, Yamod Amarkia. Who's rolling? Are you mixing the
Let's have
weekday
Judy.
cards
Judy, you can.
with the Shabbos cards?
Yeah, because.
I've never seen that before. Tamo Giveret Yudit Atzvizele Akohen Visora Alat Galila. Sorry, please rise, point your pinky and tzitzit at the Torah. Torah Asher Moshe. Each man standing till the cover goes on the Torah. Be writing this. Yeah, whatever. You may be seated. Yashikoah. Okay. All right, the Haftarah for Pinchas is page 699. Ooh, Jezebel. That's another prize package, as my mother said.
699. Yes, a tough cookie. Okay. So this after happens on Sefer Menachim and is about Prophet Eliyahu and the Prophet Eliyahu. And that happens after something that happens in Baal Peor. Baal Peor was a place where, and that was in the time of King Ahab. And King Ahab was married to Jezebel. Jezebel was not Jewish, was a Philistine. And and she hated the Jews, but she wanted to be married with the king. But anyway, she was worshiping other gods,
Yeah.
and the Jews were following her in that situation. So it comes a moment that, and that was actually before this Haftarah, that Eliyahu says, okay, let's show you who is the real God, and then a big ball of fire comes down from the heaven, and then everyone there start to say, Hashem hu Elohim, Hashem hu Elohim, and there was no doubt that they said the God is who? God. Yes, Hashem hu Elohim, we have it and we say it many times, especially in the high holidays. And after that, when Ahab goes to Jezebel and tells her what's happened, she wanted, of course, to not to be very nice with Eliyahu. And Eliyahu goes and complains to God, and he says, Panyadina. In other words, that he's tired of this. He wants to give up the job. And as a prophet, yes, he's tired to be a prophet because he's a people that they don't listen, they don't follow. And God says to him, I think that I have got my book here. I like to read.
Yeah, that's.
The English is a little bit nicer. And he says to him, he says, when come out, he called and stand on the mountain before the Lord. And the Lord passed by. There was a great and mighty wind, sleeping mountains and shattering rocks by the power of the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. The Lord was not in the wind. After the wind, an earthquake. But the Lord was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake, fire. But the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire, a soft murmuring sound came. And when Eliah heard it, he wrapped his mantle about his face and went out and stood at the entrance of the gate. So what means that? In the conversation, Eliyahu understood that the power of God is not the power of the strong things. It's not the power by sending a hurricane or sending winds or sending fire like he did before, that the power sometimes comes into, it can be shown just by a murmur, just by a soft whispering. Sometimes you can enter and you can explain, and the words can be, you can tell better the things, and the words can be taken in a better way when you talk with the people, even if you are whispering to them. When you are whispering to them, one of the techniques of the teachers, Grace is going to tell me if I am right or no. Grace, amazing grace, grace. Grace is grace. I am saying that sometimes when you want to say to the children something, and they are talking all the time, the children in first grade or second grade, and they are making a lot of noise, and they are talking and talking and talking. sometimes the teacher, what they do is to start to soft the voice of the voice of the other, and then automatically the children, they start to keep quiet because they also want to listen what the teacher is trying to say to them. And then they are able sometimes to address a message better when they almost whispering to them than when they scream to them. Is that right or not? Yes.
No,
Are you a teacher? You work with
no,
foods.
I never did that, the kids always listen.
Yeah, why? Well, but
I
I am,
was teaching kindergarten.
yeah, yes. But I am talking about not
Because
amazing
their
teachers, that's
attention
regular
span
teachers.
is Small,
Yeah,
you did things in little bites instead of something that was long.
yeah, but
So that.
But sometimes you need to shut down a little bit and to whisper a little bit, and then that call the attention of others. Whatever. God is trying to tell
But I always look directly at them. I did never turn my head like you're doing.
Now, why, I look to others.
I had one class,
Pachituques,
that's when I bought my staple gun, because if I turn my head, they would poke the other ones. And they would take pins and stick the kids. So I never looked to the side, maybe peripherally. I always watched continuously.
Then you're going to tell me what is a
Very
statement.
different from talking to others.
Anyway. It's trying to say that God sometimes you can find the power of God, or you can find God even in a little thing, in a whisper, not just in miracles. You're gonna find God there. And he said to him, and he explained to him, and then he says to Eliyahu that he can, if he's tired of that, he can leave, that he has to appoint a successor for him, somebody who is going to follow his steps. That he has to be a mentor. How many times we find that big, exceptional leaders, they don't know how to live a continuity in their in what they are living. It can be a medical office, it can be a school, it can be a religious institution. Yes, so you have leaders that they just work in the present, and they don't think on how to train others to continue to pursue the same goals or better goals, yeah, of the institution or the people that they are going to do. And he's telling Eliyahu to point to find somebody who is going to be the mentor, and the other is going to be the disciple. And he appointed Elisha, and both they were working together, quotation marks, for many years, until Elisha took over the role of a prophet. Never so great like Eliyahu Navi. I mean, Eliyahu Navi is more than a prophet, because it's the prophet who is going to announce and come back and announce when the Mashiach is going to come. He's the prophet that is with us all the time when we have a Brit Milah. So he's a prophet that spiritually he's still alive with us in all our simches, in all our in all our hopes, yeah, that is going to be a moment that will be messianic, when everybody will be in peace and there are not going to be any wars and everybody will be happy. So we have Elisha still alive in our hearts, in our hope, okay? So the Haftarah is on page 699. You see? They are playing games. They are playing games with the teacher.
We don't have to repeat this. Patience, 699.
No, it's not Jeremiah, it's Melachim. Okay, they put the wrong page. So it's 699. Arukat Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar mimihim tovim baratza v'divrei nemanim b'meket. Baruch atah Adonai הבוחר בתורה ובמשה עבדו, ובישראל עמו מביאי האמת והצדק. ויד אדוני הייתה אל אליהו, וישנם את בנה, וירץ לפני ואת בואכה יזרעאל. ויגד אחאב לאיזבל את כל אשר עשה אליהו ואת כל אשר הרע את כל הנביאים בחרבם. ותשלח אליזבל מלאך אל אליהו לאמור כה יצאו עליהם אלוהים בכה יוסיפון כי כעת מחר אשים את נפשך כנפש אחר מהם. וירא ויקום וילך אל נפשו ויבוא ואל שבע אשר ליהודה וינח את נהרו שם. והוא הלך במדבר דרך יום ויבוא וישב תחת רוטב אחד וישאל את נפשו למות. ויאמר לו אתה אדוני קח נפשי כי לא טוב אנוכי מאבותיי. וישכב וישאל תחת רוטב אחד והנה זה מלאך נוגע בו ויאמר לו קום אכול. ויבט ביניהם מראשותיו וגדר את הפיגים את הפחד מהם ויאכל וישתה וישב וישכב וישב מלאך אדוני שנית ויגע בו ויאמר קום אכול כי רב ממך הדרת. ויקום ויאכל וישתה וילך בכוח האכילה ההיא 40 יום ו40 לילה עד הר האלוהים חורב. ויבוא שם אל המערה וילך שם והנה דובר אדוני אליו ויאמר לו מה לך פה אליהו. ויאמר כאנו קינתי אדוני אלוהי צבאות כי אספתי בריתך בני ישראל את מצוותיך הרסו ואת נביאיך הרגו והחרב יוותר אני לבדי ויבקשו את נפשי לקחתה. So the way that he's talking now to God is when God asks to Eliyahu, what happened to you? And he says, who can read that verse number 10? Who can read 10 in a louder voice?
And
And
he
he
said,
said,
I have been very jealous for the Lord, the God of hosts. For the children of Israel have forsaken thy covenant, thrown down thine altars, and slain thy prophets with the sword. And I, even I only am left.
Okay.
And they seek my life to take it away.
Okay, so he's saying in the parasha is almost something very similar. Yeah, so God says when he says is that Pinchas was the one that he take out his anger and because of the jealousy, yeah, and he killed the others, and now is Eliyahu when he's complaining to God that he was in the air in the mountain, just the chapter before, and in that moment, Baal Peor, he shows how great is God, and he didn't kill, but this bolt of fire killed the fake prophets that they were moving the people to follow the gods that they were fake gods, and he feels alone. Yes, so here is a connection with one parasha and the Haftarah. Yeah, here is the connection. Okay. Okay, so I continue on page on verse number 12. ואחר הרעש אש אלוהו באש אדוני ואחר האש קול דממה דקה ויהי כי שמוע אליהו וילג את פניו בעזרתו ויצא ויעמוד בפתח המערה והנה אליו קול ויאמר מלך פה אליהו ויאמר כנו קני קינאתי אדוני אלוהי צבאות לא אספתי בנתיך בני ישראל אגד מזבחותיך ארסו ונביאיך ההרגו בקרב והכתב לי לבדו ויבקשו את נפשי לקחתה. Who can read the verse number 14? 14. Who can read it in English?
And he said, I have been very jealous for the Lord, the God of hosts, for the children of Israel have forsaken thy covenant, thrown down thine altars, and slain thy prophets with the sword. And I, even I only, am left, and they seek my life to take it away.
Okay, so this is another connection. ויאמר אדוני אליו לך שוב לדרכך מגדברה דהמה שכבה ובאת ומשכת את חזאל אל המלך אל הרב ואת איהו בגרני מושי ואת ישמח למלך על ישראל ואת אלישע בן שפט מהבגר מהקולה בית משך לנביא תחתה ויהי הנמלט מקרב חזאל יעמיד יהיו ונמלט מקרב יהוא ימיד אלישע וישרתי בישראל 7,000 כל אבירקיים אשר לא קראו למען וכל הפה אשר לא נשגרו וילד משם באמצע אלישע בן שפט והוא קורש 12 צמדים לפניו והוא ב12 ויבוא אליהו אליו וישלח הדרתו אליו ויסור את הבקר וירץ אחרי אליהו ויאמר אשקה נא להביא לאמו ואלך אחריך ויאמר לו לשוב כי מה עשיתי לך. And then he's telling that Elisha is living, we are on verse 19 and 20, that Elisha is leaving the house. He's leaving he was a shepherd and he's leaving his house and he's telling his parents that he's going after Eliyahu, who is going to mentor him. וישב מהחרה ויקח צמד הבקר ויזבחו ובכלי הבקר משלו ומה הבשר ויתן אליו ויאכלו, ויקום וילך אחרי אליהו ושרתהו. And then they did together a mizbeach, a sacrifice that was a sacrifice that was communal, and they went together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, tzur kol olamim tzadik bechol adorot, האל הנאמן האומר ועושה, המדבר ומקיים, שכל דבריו אמת וצדק. למען אתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו ונאמנים דבריך, ודבריך על דבריך כל לא ישוב ריקם. כי אל מלך נאמן ברכה מנת, ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הנאמן בכל דבריו. וקיים על ציון כי היא בית חיינו ולנו עד נפש תושיע. במהרה מימינו ברוך אתה אדוני, ושמח ציון בבניה. שמחנו אדוני אלוהינו אל ימיו יעבדך ובמלכות בית דוד משיקך במהרה יבוא ויגל ליבנו על כיסאו לא ישב זר ואינו יכלו עוד הכלים את כבודו כי בשם קודשך נשבעת לו שלא יקבה נרו לעולם ואגיד ברוך אתה אדוני וכעת השבת. Okay, the prayer for our country, Ross, you want to read it? In page number 148.
A prayer for our country. Our God and God of our ancestors, we ask your blessings for our country, for its government, for its leaders and advisors, and for all who exercise just and rightful authority. Teach them insight to your Torah, that they may administer all affairs of state fairly, that peace and security, happiness and prosperity, justice and freedom may forever abide in our midst. Creator of all flesh, bless all the inhabitants of our country with your spirit. May citizens of all races and creeds forge a common bond in true harmony, to banish hatred and bigotry, and to safeguard the ideals and free institutions that are the pride and glory of our country. May this land, under your providence, be an influence for good throughout the world, uniting all people in peace and freedom, helping them to fulfill the vision of your prophet. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they experience war anymore. And let us say, Amen.
Amen. Very good. So let's read the prayer. Do you feel comfortable reading the prayer for Israel, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Horn? Do you like it? Yeah, do you want to read the prayer for the state of Israel, Harvey? Sure. So, Avino, come here.
Ovenu, Ovenu, Shabbat Shamayim, to Yisrael go away. Ovenu Shamayim, rock and redeemer of the people of Israel, bless the state of Israel with its promise of redemption. Shield it with your love, spread over it the shelter of your peace. Guide its leaders and advisors with your light and your truth. Help them with your good counsel. Strengthen the hands of those who defend our holy land. Deliver them. Crown their efforts with triumph. Bless the land with peace and its inhabitants with lasting joy. And let us all say, Amen.
Page number 151. אשרי יושבי ביתך, עוד ירדו כסלה, אשרי ירשתך לו, אשרי ירשת אלוהה, תהילה לדוד אלוהים קלו היה מלך ומלכה שיבקלו למגד וכל יום בברכך. והלל שיבקלו למגד גדול עליים ולעלמי אוהבות ולגדולת ולכך. דור לדור שבח מסק על גבולותיך יגידו על הרכבותיך ודברי נפלותיך עשיך. בזולדנותיך יאמרו גדולתך ספרי נעשה חרתך יביאו את צדקתך ירננו. כאנו ברחום אדוני ירא כפיים ותודה לחסד. טוב אדוני לכל ברחמה ועל כל מעשיו. יודו כאדוני כל מעשיך וחסידיך יברכוך. כבוד מלכותך יאמרו גבולותיך ידברו. להודיע לבני אדם גבולותיו וכבוד על מלכותו. מלכות כמלכות כל עולמים וממשלתך בכל דור ודור. סומך אדוני לכל הנופלים וסוגב לכל הכפופים. עיני כל אליך יסברו ואתה נותן להם את אוכלם איתו. פותח את ידך ומצביע לכל חי רצון. צדיק אדוני בכל דרכיו וחסיד בכל מעשיו. קרוב אדוני כל קוליו לכל אשר יקראו באמת. רצון ידיו יעשה ואת שבתם ישמע ויושיעם. שומר אדוני את כל אוהביו ואת כל הרשעים ישמיד. תהילת אדוני יעבר פיו ויברך כל בשר שם קודשו לעולם ועד. ואנחנו נברך יד. Please rise. הללו את שם אדוני כי נברא שמו לבדו. לפני ובדוקו יאמר.
You're doing a very good job.
Off to the Chazan for the Haftorah and the Drash. I want to read just one more name from among the Cholim, Isaac ben Moshe, and we wish him refuah shalema to say amen.
Yingada halvehit kada shemara. Alma dibra kirute v'yamlik malkute. Ilvara vegishlava vegitpahar vegitroma veinas vegitada vegitale vegitala shmeidesha Damin kol vikata veshirata.
You made that?
Yeah, me down page 156B. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Eloi Avoteinu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Adonai Gibor Menorah El Elyon Kohen Chasadim Etovim Vekone Hakol Ve'esocher Chazei Yavot Omei Bigorel Librei V'Neyegel למען שמו ירחם. ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם porque será vivo de una Madonna y me está en 20 marca abre Cosia unidad en cualquier
ולנצח נצח בקדושת קנדיש, בשמך קיינו אינו אבינו לא יבוש לעולם ברכת, ברוך אתה כי המלך הדור הקדוש אתה, ברוך אתה אדוני Yes. Bekadeshe Shevi Shabbat. Bekadeshe Shevi Shabbat. Yismeru Bekah Shomrei Shabbat. Odek Shabbat. Yismeru B'malkutecha, Shomrei Shabbat, V'kodek Shabbat, V'ashmi Ratzita Bo, V'kidashto, Enan Yamim, Oto Karata, Secher, Lemase, Reshit Shabbat, Yismeru, B'malkutecha, Shomrei Shabbat, Odek Shabbat, Yismeru B'malkutecha, Shomrei Shabbat, V'kodek Shabbat. 181. Yimal Beit Kadashem Rabban. Ve'anama Librakin de Amrik Malkutere. Bechayechonu V'yameichonu Bechayed Kol Bet Israel. Magana Vizman Galim Bru. Amen. Ilbarak Veishtabach Veit Parvidram in Nase. Veitalar Vital Shubek Vesha. Rabbi Nikol Birchata Veshirata, Tushmakata Vekimata Minamama Imbro. It Kaveret, Serodoroto de Kol Israel, Kalamavodi Vishmaya Imbro. Yegesh Lamaraba Mishemaya, Vekaimalino Kol Israel Imbro. Ose Shalom Mibroma, Yase Shalom Regino, Veal Kol Israel.
והכל יושבי תבל, וימלא בו.
Thank Elohim, thank Adonai, thank Malkeinu, thank Moshiach. Thank Elohim, thank Adonai, thank Malkeinu, thank Moshiach. No del Elohim, no del Adonai, no del Malkeinu, no del Moshiach. Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonai, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshiach. Atu Eloheinu, Atu Adonai, Atu Malkeinu, Atu Moshiach. Atu Shekinu, Avoteinu, Levanim and Torah. Shalom, shalom, Malkeinu, Kaim, Tigor, Aleinu, Gilom.
Good job.
Mourner's Kaddish, everyone else may be seated except those who are saying the Kaddish. Yid Gadol, Yid Kadash, Shemer Rabba, Yalma, Tivra, Yirtei, Yamdi, Mapute, V'chayevon, Yamevon, V'chayevon, Yisrael, V'agalav, Yizman, Karibim, Yivorach, Yishvav, Yivorach, Yishvav, Yinaseh, Yitzadar, Yitzaleh, Yitzaleh, Shemei, Yishav, Ve'elav, V'kovir, V'tav, V'shiratav, V'shvatav, V'nechamav, V'yiron, V'yamav, V'yishama, Rabba, V'yishmaya, V'chayim, V'yishma, V'yisrael, V'yinu, Oseh, Shalom, V'yirav, V'yaseh, Shalom. Right, we don't have any announcements, but before we do the Adon Olam, we're doing Kiddush. Hasan, do you want to do Kiddush? I have the glasses over here.
Bring the father.
Yes,
Together.
yes. Toby, come on. You get the comfy chair.
Yes, we're always allowed.
I said that.
Raz, ושם גרובני ישראל את השבת לעסוק, את השבת לדורות המריתו למעילים ובני ישראל אותי לעולם, כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת וילפש, הלכים ברך אדוני יום השבת ויקדשם, צברים, חבריי, רבותיי, חי, ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, מולך
I am Shalom, Yes. Yes, yes, emoji. I'll do it myself. I have to warn the assembled multitude that we don't have Anbeth here to do the neat slices, so anyone who volunteers is certainly welcome. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, all right, you may be seated.
May I have to go near?
Please rise for the closing benediction.
The
Lord bless you and keep you.
Lord
Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Lord turn his face unto you and grant you peace. We say, very good. Thank you. Yes. Surprised.